I really love circles and squares. My friends are apparently laughing by now, but I really love them. They're great. But on the topic of fantasy, which was the topic of this month, I would argue that if you limit your reality to these geometrical forms and shapes, your creativity will go off the roof. Here we see a circle within a square. The square resembles your limitations, and the circle can be resembling your dreams. And if we start defining our square, the four sides of the square, depending on how you answer 4 questions, you will be able to limit your reality. So the first question is, who am I? We're starting big here. But don't worry, a lot of us apparently don't know really yet. But we'll figure it out. The second question is, what do I know? What do I know for a fact? Well, I know a lot. Not that much. Just trust me, all right? I'm a knowledgeable person. Now look around. I mean, what do you see? Do you have any friends here, colleagues, family? What do they bring into the table? What can you learn from them? A round of applause if you got some, because they're hard to get by. On the topic of friends, I lost one very close friend this Sunday. And my thoughts goes with Adnan Ablebish. He was a rising star, 17 years old, and had a lot of much to come. So really take care of your friends and family. They are the most valuable thing in the life. All right, so the final question is, what can I do? With all these limitations, what could I possibly do? All right, so if we're able to answer these 4 questions, we will be able to search for our limitations and define our square. Let's move on to the circle. The circle has endless numbers of corners, which could be translated to endless possibilities and dreams. The most central question here to ask yourself is, how do I feel? All right? So keep this in mind as we go through the 4 steps of defining your circle. The first step is to think big, imagine, dream, have a vision. The second step is to analyze your vision and make a plan. Now go on an adventure. Take your vision wherever it takes you, all right? And the last step, evaluate what you just felt. All right? So by asking yourself how I feel, you will be able to define your circle and your dreams. Thus, the circle becomes your dreams. The final step is to express yourself. It's all right to, laugh, cry, destroy something. But you could also create something. And sometimes it's hard to really kind of know how you should react to something. And in that case, tools help you to express what you just experienced. So let's go through the process once more quickly. First step, search for limitations and get inspired. Second step, imagine and kind of push these limitations where it can take you. And then finally, express yourself. So, I'm going to share my artistic journey here, past the years. I hope you enjoy it. But keep these 3 steps in mind. Search, dream, and express. So, I'm a high school student. I procrastinate a lot. I know a lot of hip-hop. But I have a pencil in my hand and a piece of paper. I started to draw. Then I asked myself and dared myself to, all right, make no mistakes, get it right the first time. I picked up the ink pen. If I drew one single line wrong, the whole painting would be destroyed. Then I limit myself even further. Limit yourself and dream only based on what you see in front of you. See where that takes you. I began defining the canvas as well. I was not even painting on paper anymore. I was painting on whatever that was in front of me. Here I painted a whole car at a club. I was trying to build a social life, get my talk on. Well, talking about mistakes, I mean, if I made, one line wrong here or put it on the window, his whole car would be destroyed. But that's on him. But the funny thing is, when you start limiting yourself to the canvas and the tools you have, I felt that I could be more creative. I could just let my dreams kind of flow. And the interesting thing here is, here I had the same type of canvas, same type of colors, but I get two different types of expressions, just based on how I feel at that moment when I did the paintings. Yeah, so at this point, I really pushed it to the limit. I started tattooing. There we can talk about mistakes, right? One single line wrong and your canvas is destroyed and your friend is not happy anymore. But what are mistakes anyway? I mean, we all make them, right? Some might argue that, it's one way of learning how to not to do something, but it could also be an invitation to other possibilities. I began creating art with circles. I limited myself to the tool, which was Photoshop. The color palette was limited. Also, the shape, only circles. I was able to even create cartoonish, realistic kind of paintings. But what really inspired me was this process of search, dream, and express. Because now my paintings started to change at a higher rate as I was creating it. Which meant that things started to appear in front of me, which I couldn't even envision or imagine. And it became kind of like a diary. So I'm going to show you a video now. I hope you enjoy it. It captures the process of search, dream, and express. All right.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Mother, there's too many of you crying. Picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me. Picket lines and picket signs. You know we've got to find a way.
All right. I will show you another video now. It captures how I felt at that moment. But once again, think about search, dream, and express.
Ooh, this whole heart of mine been broke 1,000 times. Each time you break away.
All right, nice. Glad that you liked it. But talking about limitations, here's a self-portrait. Does it look like me? All right, cool, nice. It looks similar to the style I made in Photoshop, but it's not made in Photoshop. It's made with code. So what you see here is the visual representation of the code that's created. And now we can talk about limitations. So this is made in HTML and CSS. Are anybody here familiar with these coding languages? All right, cool. It's kind of like the most basic backbone of coding. I really didn't know to code at this moment. I knew how to make a square. Through some Googling, asking some friends, I managed to get a circle up. Suddenly, I could create the same type of art that I did in Photoshop, but with code. I didn't need Photoshop anymore. And the interesting thing here is that even though I limit myself even further, my art piece could be so much more. Suddenly, my creation was a website. It was vector graphics. I could send it all around the world and never need to comprehend the quality of the picture. So it's interesting how you limit yourself to a tool which looks very kind of squarish, but it boosts your creativity. And I started to travel around Europe holding speeches, doing live coding sessions, which was crazy. I mean, I'm a newbie when it comes to programming, and suddenly I'm standing in front of 600 coders, all pro, and I'm doing the live coding with CSS. I'm just punching in the positioning, the size, color, and other parameters. And I asked myself, all right, so I'm having a good time here. I'm expressing myself. I'm dealing with my problems. But a lot of people here also need to express themselves. I mean, as a coder, the main thing you do is constantly making things more efficient. So I had to kill my ego and told myself, what happens if I invite people to start creating art with me and together and see what happens? I met a friend called Chris Ruppel. He's from the States, but lives in Germany, and we met in Bristol. And this thought really went through his mind of, I've been working 15 years in the business, but I never expressed myself. I want to be an artist. What could happen? We'll go back to Chris soon, but I developed an introduction course in web development for all ages, but I focused mainly on 7th till 9th grader because that's the most important time to establish an interest. I gave them a piece of paper, and I told them, hey, you know how to use scissor and paper and glue? Make a sketch. Then translate that into code. And that way, the starting kind of phase is much lower, and the feedback loop is much higher, because you don't need to invest 1 year to learn how to make a perfect website as the ones you see on a regular basis. Here you can just express yourself. And it looked something like this. I've been to various schools all around Sweden. I've been to museums, telling the youth to search, get inspired, and then express yourself. Leave a mark. Discuss. Create art together. Here is an example of what type of art that could be created. It's 10 objects, 2 people, 4 colors. Here's another example. And it's really interesting to see how people that basically fear for coding suddenly, oh, that's easy, I can do it. And then suddenly, they start to change their perception of themselves, but also what they can do. So in this spirit, I want you to bring up your cell phones. I'm going to show you an app that me and my friend Chris created together. We're going to create art together. So what are we, like 300 people here? So if you type in this address, we'll be able to create art together.
Everyone got the address?
All right. So it's bustashape.com, and we're going to go into the room, #GBG. All right?
Are we ready?
Okay, let's go for it. So what is happening right now is that everybody that log into this website are creating art together simultaneously with circles, squares. I also put in a rectangle. I'm still working with my relationship with the triangle. But I'll get there, I promise you. So in this way, I limit the form of expression to, geometrical shapes and forms. But in this way, if I give you a pen, you would probably be scared of drawing because you feel that you can't paint. But if you just bust the shape, you'll probably feel not that type of fear to, join in the creativity. So with that, I would like to thank all of you for being here, and have a great Friday. Nice. Thanks.